It is our top story this morning. We welcome John Dadian to discuss this top story. Congressman Paul Ryan being named the vice presidential candidate with Mitt Romney this morning. Let's get right to it. Your thoughts on this big announcement. Kind of came through the wires last night, but of course the official announcement coming this morning.
Again, in theory, what they always use, the famous word they like to do, is a balance on the ticket. And it could be balanced in many ways, politically, geographically, et cetera. This gives a lot of balance to the ticket, and it cements, it kind of takes care of the exposed part of what some voters have weaknesses with Romney, as far as whether or not he's conservative enough, whether or not, you know, he's a man of the people. This guy, you know, is from the heartland of America, the vice president nominee. I think it's a very good pick overall.
Some people, though, thought that Mitt Romney would go after someone that might attract more moderate voters, people in the middle still deciding between the two, maybe even somebody who would attract more Democrats. This clearly isn't a decision that'll go that way, don't you think?
I think the way you described it is correct, but keep in mind there's a lot of Republican voters who think Romney's moderate. So the congressman has Tea Party credentials.
But wouldn't Mitt Romney still get that base? I mean, his base is not going to vote for President Obama.
But you don't want them to stay home. And what this has done, similar to, and I hate to make this comparison, but similar to the Palin announcement, it energizes. And, you know, you were getting reports already from this initial conference today that it's an energized base. I think you're going to see this guy as a new rock star.
It's a bold pick. 2 months after the House passed the 2012 budget authored by Ryan last year. Controversial plan reforming Medicare, health care plan for seniors. 58% of Americans oppose the plan. So you have that sort of as a context for now he is a vice presidential candidate. Do you think that that's going to play in? Do you think that will be highlighted going forward of his controversial plan that was opposed by almost 60% of Americans?
Well, clearly that's what the opponents' campaign, they're going to come out of the gate. They already have. We've already seen otherwise. They're hitting them hard. They're hitting them hard on Medicare, et cetera. On this particular issue, I got to be honest with you, Jeff, I think 58% of Americans, they responded to that poll. Once you ask what we call the push questions in poll, I think the Republican team has a good response to say that you can stay on Medicare. In that poll, they didn't mention that to people, and I think that was a fatal flaw in that poll.
So who is Paul Ryan? I think we've been all kind of doing our own little searches this morning. Who is he according to John Dadian?
The all-American kid, quite honestly. He, the state he's from, he grew up there, several generations, worked his way through college, you know, and again, unlike, let's say, for example, people forget President Obama, you know, really only served 2 years in the Senate before he started running for president. This is a 7-term congressman. He has some bona fide credentials, certainly policy credentials. I think it's a very smart pick.
It's interesting that you say all-American kid, right? Because here's the thing.
He is to me.
Well, Dick Cheney came out against Sarah Palin, against the pick of Sarah Palin about 2 months ago, saying that Sarah Palin didn't have the ability to be the next president of the United States if something were to happen to John McCain. Do you see the same kind of issue with Paul Ryan or no?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely apples and oranges. Again, because he has bona fide. This is considered one of the smartest men in Congress. This is considered on the Republican team one of the best policy strategies, not only on economics, but he's really kind of a renaissance man in several different fields. So Sarah Palin, keep in mind, I mentioned President Obama's track record in Senate. Sarah Palin was only governor for 2 years.
Right.
Which is, this guy has been in Congress for a while, and he's worked his way up, which is another aspect I like about him.
All right, so what do they go after him for? What are the attacks we'll start seeing as early as today?
You know how they say one of the famous quotes is, in real estate, it's location, location, location? To answer your question, it's going to be Medicare, Medicare, Medicare.
Okay.
And keep in mind, the state that he's from has not gone Republican, I think, since 1984, since the second Reagan, and I think now that cements that state. So that's 10 electoral votes, that's good, but this really puts Florida in play. That's where they're going to hammer him because of the senior population there.
This is about 3 weeks earlier than what was announced last year with Palin and McCain. Did Romney need to do this to jumpstart his campaign, because recent polls have shown him lagging? In a Fox News poll, he was 9 points behind.
No, I don't think at all that this was under lagging, etc. It was just very strategic, although again, the folks in the media know that a lot of the details were coming out at the last minute, and clearly they changed some things as recently as this morning. But when you say he's lagging in the polls, as I've said many times on this show, Jeff, it's what they're really targeting, which is where you see their buses are going to go after they left that conference, is to the key states, to the swing states.
4-day tour now, right?
Don't need to come to California, but they need to go to Virginia. They started off in Virginia. But it was interesting that the MC for this morning's event was the governor, who was a VP finalist himself.
a finalist according to John Dadian, right?
According to the leaks coming out of the Romney campaign, actually.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning to discuss this. I'm glad we were able to have you on because this was obviously our top story today.
Got to play devil's advocate with you, you know.
And you're very good at it.
Oh, thanks, John.